You know, I'm a little sad this morning, T.
Why is that?
End of an era, man. Our top. This was not our top story until I woke up at 5 in the morning and saw it. But MTV is done, man.
MTV is done.
Like more done than it ever was before.
Switched off across Europe by the end of this year.
Yes. So what? We'll look at the article in a minute. But what is you're this near the age I am. What is your first MTV memory?
You know, for me, it was always about. It goes along with the time of that era, like remember the old cable bot, like how you had cable it was like this unit that was like this big, and it had numbers, like 3 rows of numbers, and it had a little dial on the one side, and the dial was at the top, it was numbers 1 through 20, yeah. And then in the middle it was like 20 through 60, and then the bottom was 60 through 100 or whatever, and that was, and then you'd press those buttons. Like, it's so funny to describe, but I can totally picture it in my head and how like I'd use it. And like it had some of them were just mounted on, or like mounted, but stayed on top of your TV, and you'd actually have to walk up and change the channel. And then they came out with the ones that had like the extended cord, so you could pull the thing to like your couch and sit with it on your couch. Like, it wasn't quite a remote, but it like was sort of a remote.
I had one with a remote that was you held in your hand and it had a dial.
Okay, yeah.
A cord that went all the way across the room, like 20 feet of cord.
Yeah, that was like this. It had like the 20-foot cord that you could reach all the way out of the family room with, but like it still was tethered to the TV. But I always remember that because I always remember going over to one of my buddies' houses after school, elementary school, and like him and I wanted to form a band. His brother was a guitar player, he was a drummer, and I had just bought an electric guitar, and we were going to start this band. And so I always remember going over to his house every day after school and watching MTV, and like that was our thing. And you know, the rotation of videos was so small back then. It was like you knew within the hour you were going to see like at least one of the songs you wanted to see, you know, and then a couple of other ones that you're like, whatever. But like, and I always remember It's the One Thing by NXS. That video when they're sitting at that long table, and it's like the weirdest video. That video forever is burned in my brain because it was just so bizarre, and I loved NXS. I didn't realize how much I would end up loving them later in life, but like it was just one of those that video I'll always remember. So those are my two MTV like core memories of my childhood with that.
That is how they got you though. Was you got a favorite song? I want to see the Billie Jean video again. So you watch it. Or then like AC/DC put out a couple videos, like Let's Get It Up, and For Those About to Rock, which they play once a day or twice a day, and I would watch for hours on end trying to catch the AC/DC.
Trying to catch it. We used to, you know, that lasted all the way up through high school for me. When I was in my junior and senior year of high school, I was in like DECA, you know, the marketing program in high school thing that you selling and shit. And we always had a tournament up in the mountains every year. So one year we went and, you know, you like get a room. It was at Copper Mountain, and we got a room like with all my friends and stuff. And we would do these things called freedom checks, where we'd constantly go back to MTV and look for George Michael's Freedom video to be on. Cause like we were obsessed with the song and obsessed with the supermodels in the video. So like we'd always do these things called freedom checks. We'd be like freedom check and check MTV. And like sometimes you'd hit it and we'd go crazy. It'd be like the greatest thing. You're like, oh my God, it's on. Yes. And like, you know, or you'd like leave it on and wait for it to come on. And that was the next like phase of that was when I was in high school and waiting for like, I remember Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back video. I remember the Freedom video at that time, and there was one other one that I can't think of right now. But to your point, yes, you would like wait for certain videos to come on and hope that it got in the cycle of it. You know, back in the day, it was a little bit easier because it was like Billy Idol and, like I said, like that NXS video and some other random ones like the Police or something that you'd get in that rotation. But then obviously as you got older, it was like.
But then all of a sudden you find yourself humming the Kajagoogoo tune.
Right.
You seen that 10 times waiting for the AC/DC, and then you find yourself buying the Kajagoogoo album.
Totally. That, and I feel like ZZ Top really owned MTV for a while, their videos, because they had the car, and they always told this weird story in the videos of like the things, but like Legs, I always remember Legs being such a, and like Van Halen's Jump, and like there's so many core memories of songs, especially in our generation, that got associated with videos, right? Like that's how we remember so many songs from that era, because it was. And that whole ad campaign, I Want My MTV, was fucking brilliant. I mean, that whole thing with all the artists that were like, I want my MTV. The nostalgia is strong.
Right. 44 years of continuous broadcasting. It will be shut down by the end of the year. So,
well, what's crazy is if you read the next paragraph, though, this has become the problem. 5 channels: MTV Music, right. MTV 80s, MTV 90s, Club MTV, and MTV Live.
Right.
And MTV doesn't even play videos yet. I know everybody bitches about that for like the last 10 years, but MTV itself doesn't even play videos anymore. So, and there's so many other video channels now. Like, like I say, like on my Samsung TV and on the Amazon thing, you just have these channels. So,
right. This is interesting to me. I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, about how, pirating has come back, right? Pirating has kind of gotten big again. 15 years ago, they say that 95% of all, I'm just trying to get past the ads there. 95% of all music downloads were pirated 15 years ago. And then streaming came along, right? And it became real easy, And
then it was like legalized pirating.
Right, exactly. Well, there's the whole question of if you don't buy it and own it, or can you really pirate it? But that's a whole nother question. But then it got into this thing where like everybody started their own streaming service, and you have Paramount, but they invest all this money in all these movies that flop and they don't make the money back. So what do they think? We need to spend more money to make a bigger blockbuster that's going to flop. Meanwhile, stuff like MTV gets cut. That is the reason someone probably subscribes to Paramount. It's like this vicious circle they've created.
It's hard. It's too bad. They should have just got Taylor Sheridan to come in and revamp MTV for them, since he owns all of CBS and Paramount shows these days. I just saw he's got some reality country show coming out now too. It's funny. I actually know that guy. One of my best friends is best friends with his wife, so I've known him since he was on Sons of Anarchy forever ago. It's amazing what he's built, though. I'm beyond impressed with him. But still, to your point, it sucks. Right. It is that thing, and it's responsible for, like it or not, lots of things that weren't video oriented, like Liquid Television and the cartoons, and Beavis and Butthead came from there, So I mean, it's always had a cultural impact and standing through the years. It's kind of crazy that it's over. And for God's sakes, we even talked about him forever, but like Kurt Loder, MTV News, every time that came on and he was the guy giving you the news, and it wasn't like one of the girls or like, what's his name from Premiere Magazine?
Nina Blackwood and Martha Quinn.
Yeah, those were the VJs. But I mean, when the news came on and it was Kurt Loder doing the news, you knew it was like heavy shit, because like towards the end he didn't do it as much.
Right. He was Tabitha Soren.
Yep, that was her, Tabitha Soren.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great name. Fuck yeah.
Great name. Great name. Yes.
Absolutely love it. So we've been talking a lot about tickets. We dropped the Live Nation Ticketmaster Tommy Dorfman interview. We've got our eyes glued on Upper Jersey Federal Court this Friday to see what happens with his hearing with them.
Yes.
Do you see the thing about World Cup preying on fear of missing out? FIFA's 2026 ticket scam is a late capitalist hellscape. So the cheapest face value ticket for the 2026 FIFA final is $2,030. Who can afford that?
Who wants to come here anyway? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who wants to come here and deal with shit and pay those prices? I mean, if you're already here, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's to go to a soccer match for that price. I mean, it is the World Cup, so I'm not surprised. And it'll be interesting to see between with the immigration stuff and ICE and stuff, how if it has an effect on attendance and people not wanting to travel here, and then how much of that becomes a shit show anyway from people traveling here and getting fucked with by it.
Right.
So I don't know.
There's another layer. Remember NFTs?
Oh yeah.
They introduced a right to buy NFT scheme. Is how this was put in the article. That would allow owners to redeem a real ticket, the NFT, for a ticket later. Those NFTs granted early access to some of the tickets, but then people realized that the NFT gave them like 15% off. They spent $1,000 on an NFT thinking that they could redeem it for a ticket.
For a ticket, but it wasn't. It was just a discount on a ticket.
It was just a discount on the ticket. So
brilliant marketing, screwing the customer as usual.
I mean, does that screw your brand though? I mean, FIFA's so big, I think people just forget about it. They make excuses and tie themselves in knots and say, "Well, I'm still going to go," or they're not bad people for doing this,
right?
Are they bad people for doing this? Because you would think you want young kids and young families and fans to go to instill it for the next generation.
Right. Of course. You want to. I think that's the other thing is like, are you going for yourself, or how often would you be going with a like kids, or you would think, especially people here that aren't traveling, because traveling to this country with kids and stuff could be a little bit hectic from other places. Right. But just like what the Women's World Cup did all those years ago when the women won, and Brandy Chastain ripped her shirt off and stuff. What that did for the women's soccer movement was monumental for little girls and stuff who saw that and wanted to become soccer stars. I mean, that was such a huge thing. So yeah, growing the game is a huge part of that and what you need to do. So pricing them out sucks. Right. You knew it was going to be a shit show. I mean, the whole thing, I can't even imagine like having to get the travel packages and do that whole thing. I can't even and then with everything going on with our government and stuff, just like a total shit show. And then Trump saying that he might take the games out of blue cities because they're hellscapes. And so who knows? It's going to be crazy.
I hope they pull it, but they can't at this point. Really.
I mean, the biggest thing that everybody should do, including like FIFA, would be to boycott the U.S. and only play the games in Mexico and Canada and just boycott the U.S. altogether, because we're such a fucking joke right now. So
yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly. Well, Trump doesn't think he's going to heaven, which was a weird thing for anybody to say.
Well,
I don't sit around and think about the afterlife. You don't sit around and think about the afterlife till you've been told you have like 3 months to live.
Well, I was going to say he's nearing the end, right? Like we're in the 6 to 8 month zone because there's only so long you can go after having the stroke he had over Labor Day and things that are going. I mean, the thing that he just went to Walter Reed for and got his vaccinations and his flu shots and all that is his checkup after the 4 months after the stroke or whatever it is. So we'll see. But yeah, I agree. It's funny to start turning that. I can't wait till he starts talking more about it in like press conferences and stuff where how he always goes off on tangents. Like I can't wait till that becomes the tangent in his brain because it's failing so much. And he just goes off on these dark, like, what is death?
Yeah, what is death? Oh man. All right, Neko Case. Love Neko Case. New Pornographers were a favorite back in the day. She's got her own band. She has a great album from 2008, Maneater, that I would suggest you check out if you haven't ever heard it. But she walked off stage after a few songs because they had armed security guards in the venue. And she made some comment about, as a victim of gun violence and rape or something, I can't do this with that guy over there with a gun.
Again, it's a weird situation because then you read stuff from the venue and they say it was never brought up in pre-show stuff. It's our same security we always have. When she made a note of it, we did move them from one location to another for her, and then that wasn't good enough, and we're surprised that was her like walking out, like we'll refund everybody. But I don't know. It's one of those back and forth. Like I get it. The artist is uncomfortable, so you believe what she says.
You lock his gun up in the fucking cabinet then if you want to keep him. Why do you need a gun at a Neko Case show?
Well, that's what. I'm getting to, like, why do they have armed guys there in the first place? Like, what's gone down there that you need loaded weapons on people in a bar at a venue?
Right. Well, dude, that dogs in a pile thing I went to, that festival, the 2 security guards there had guns. I think
crazy.
maybe security guard companies now have all their people carry guns unless you tell them not to.
Which is just a step right below, like, the ICE cosplayers. Like, you guys, they're all like failed police and military people that now are arming and trusting with security shit. And you're like,
wasn't that the mall cop joke that he couldn't be a cop, so he became a mall cop?
That's it. Exactly. And the scary thing is like, I always notice like security guards at places, like the parking lot guys and like the people that are in like the golf carts driving around. And you always look at them and you're like, that guy's awfully like chubby and robust to like try to run down somebody and pull a gun
Equalizer,
out.
The guy in the first Equalizer movie is totally that, who was the security guard, and he had him like flipping tires trying to get in shape.
Right, but you're like, could I outrun that guy? And then you look at him, you're like,
right. Even I could outrun him.
You're like, could I do a better job at this job than this guy? Because you're like, how did this guy get hired? Like, he's obviously
willing to work for $15 an hour is how he got hired.
And like wear a badge and get the cosplaying of like being an authority figure to other people, which he's always dreamed of doing. So yeah, I guess it's just crazy.
So venues are like that. I mean, you know, I feel like things like that, even if you say, I know people will turn around and say, oh, well, you know, there's some concerts, hip hop shows, maybe metal shows or something where there's a quote unquote element, which I don't believe, but
well, yes, but
it encourages people see the guns. It makes them more on edge. They feel threatened because there's a guy with a gun.
And don't you have metal detectors and things to like get people in without a gun and a knife and shit? So like, what do we need armed people inside? Like, if you want to be outside on the perimeter armed, fine, like be outside, but in the venues and in the arenas, do we need it? Because supposedly everyone in there is not armed and safe.
Did they have that at like Madison Square Garden? It's been a long time since I've been to a big arena like that. Like, did the guards have guns? Well, I know they have real cops in there, but looking at a real cop is one thing. You're at least he had 3 weeks training at the police academy or whatever.
Well, real cops, I'm fine with having weapons and walking around the arenas because that's just patrolling and like whatever. Like, fine, bring those guys in. But your security guards that are either taking the place of the cops or they're in with the cops is a little overkill and ridiculous, and they don't need to be armed. But yeah.
There you go. So Friday night, Tedeschi Trucks band and Government Mule did a concert in Macon celebrating the legacy of the Allman Brothers. So we got Warren and Derek together again. I mean, God, that band that played the thing a few months ago at Madison Square Garden, why don't they tour? Get those people out. I mean, Derek and Warren together is probably the greatest 1-2 Southern rock combo ever. Sorry, Dickie and Dwayne, but I mean, Dickie and Dwayne didn't have enough time, whereas Derek and Warren spent years together. They're telepathic with what they do. It's just Anyway.
And Dwayne Betts played with his band there, and George Porter Jr. showed up, and it really was like a whole
Mule
thing
for Dove's Cry and Biscuits and Just Kiss My Baby. Biscuits and gravy.
It's so funny. Like, yeah, they should just like.
Susan came out for Soulshine. We all know about Soulshine.
Yep.
You're getting a Soulshine, whether you like it or not. We will be getting a Soulshine at the Mountain Jam. So, if you have Nugs All Access, you can check it out. If you have Walk Plus All Access, you're watching us now.
There you go.
And if you
I agree though, they should tour. Like, it's just it's funny how much they've been, like we said, well, I think every week for the last month they've been in our Monday news because they did the Ohani Fest with Eddie Vedder and played, and then they did that other thing that we saw right after that weekend after that they did that little thing and up in San Fran. And now
we did the whole Beacon. I did a whole Beacon Run thing. I went through all 6 of the Beacon Run shows and the highlights. And
they've been doing a lot. It's cool. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to see them tour though. That'd be awesome. They should.
Maybe, you know,
And
I don't know how
maybe
you
it's
do.
just residency type tour, like playing one venue for 5 nights and then
The
another
Will turn
venue.
in LA or something for 5
Right.
nights, and then do someplace in Chicago 5 nights, 5 nights in New York.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. There you go. So there's something called the IEBA Awards. We should probably know about the International Entertainment Buyers Association, since we talk a lot about the other side of what goes on. So they had their annual conference in Nashville, and who did we see? Club of the Year was Brooklyn Bowl, Nashville. Theater of the Year was Fox Theater in Atlanta. Arena of the Year was Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. I guess that's a nod to the town they're in. Amphitheater of the Year, though, your spot, the Greek Theater.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Impressive.
And then Austin City Limits Festival is Festival of the Year. So it's a peer selected thing. So I like it more than some of these other awards where you have a board of people who decide, or it's industry insiders, kind of thing. This seems like it's more other musicians and stuff like that. They've been around since the 70s. Just thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. Promoter of the year was Adam Weiser from AEG. I'm glad it wasn't a Live Nation or whatever, but AEG is right up there with them. But yeah,
it's good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's pretty cool to see what arenas get mentioned in there, though. Like Casino of the Year is fine. Mohegan's Sun.
Oh, right. Yes, Mohi. I did see that. That is crazy.
And Brooklyn Bowl, Nashville, huh? Is Club of the Year. Good for them.
I was there on their opening night.
Oh, yeah?
One of their opening nights. Back in 21, Big Something played an after show after the first night of Fish in Nashville, and I went there. I'm standing there, hanging out, having a great time, having my drink. This woman comes up, starts twerking in front of me, right? And I'm like,
twerking.
I'm like, what's going on? It was Missy Pooh.
Oh, like, yeah, I remember you telling me that.
It was on her, it was her bridal party or whatever they call that.
I love that. That's great. Good old Missy.
Yeah.
Missy Baker.
Back in 2022, I guess after they saw how much COVID devastated their country, Ireland, and, the economy and things like that, they started doing something called the Basic Income for the Arts program. And they gave £325 a week to 2,000 artists and creative workers. Now, they finally, 3 years later, it's come to the end. They're asking for 2.1 million more, something like that for next year. They want to keep it going. They said for every pound invested, there was $1.30, £1.39 shilling, whatever it is, return on it. So it increased the economy. People made money doing this. What do you think about universal basic income? I know a lot of people think it's freeloading and things like that, but nobody's going to pay someone to write a poem. And poems and poetry are still important. They give us humanity. They give us escapism. They do so much for the human as a part of the universe, I think.
I think it's an amazing thing. It says the initiative is intended to ensure that artists can focus on their craft without sacrificing economic security, which is pretty amazing. Like that's because even just for us doing this stuff and having to balance it with other jobs,
$325 a week, I could not live off that, but
right. But it's something, right? It's like, it's something that you at least are getting some sort of money for your work.
You're getting paid for 20 hours or 15 hours.
Right. And, which is better than zero. Like 1 is always infinitely better than 0. So right. anything on top of 0 would be nice. But I don't know. It's a step in the right direction, because the arts are always the ones that get the most scrutiny for freeloading or being bums or whatever. But again, it's also the one that you get screwed the most in, I feel like, like as a musician, Spotify and streaming and now with AI, even like you said, like poetry and even screenwriters and copywriters and everything just keeps getting taken away from you. And like, oh, well, there's an easier way to do it. Oh, there's a cheaper way to do it. Oh, this is how, if we consolidate this. So it's always And the arts are the ones that always get screwed. The artists, I should say, are the ones that always get screwed because they're the ones with the creative and the talent. And then you have the suits and the money people that are always like, how do we make this cheaper? How do we do this for less? How can we go around paying them for this? So anything you can do to get money into artists' hands and let them create and do what they do is good.
Right. So attached to that, sumo. You know what sumo is?
Mm-hmm.
They do AI music.
Yep.
They're being sued by a
Yep.
bunch of record labels. They're also being sued by a class action lawsuit. They claim that it's fair use, training off other people's music. I was digging into this a little bit. We could talk a little bit about that, but there was a thing where Timberland, remember Timberland, Missy Elliott? He was huge at one time.
Oh yeah.
Started
Big
something
producer.
with them that's a remix feature, right? So he did this video where he took a thing from K-Fresh, right? A guy named K-Fresh, and used it. And K-Fresh was like, "What are you doing, man?" Because K-Fresh doesn't get paid for this, apparently. In the user agreement for Sumo, it says if you upload something and remix it and use our remix feature, we own it.
Of course.
So this is just, I mean, I saw this quote from one of their investors, and he said he wouldn't have invested in Sumo if they hadn't have told him up front they were stealing all this stuff instead of trying to pay for it.
It's crazy that just it's so crazy because yeah, you want to create something right with AI, make it like useful and whatever, but in order to make it useful, it has to learn. So in order for it to learn, you have to feed it information. Well, when it learns from other artists' stuff and then takes that stuff and builds its own thing or builds off of that thing into something else, like it reminds me so much of like hip hop though. Like when hip hop samples everything, it's basically that next step with AI is like now not just sampling, but stealing, learning, doing everything off it. It's so crazy that it's also a new genre of music that they're calling A-pop, artificial pop, which, oh my God, no. And let me tell you, we were joking around, a couple friends of mine over the weekend joking around, because in our text threads, there's always some random weird like words or sayings that ends up, and we call it the punk band name of the day. And like whatever the weird saying is of the day, we're like, oh, that's today's punk band name. So we had one that was called Cemetery Broads when we were talking about random shit. And so my buddy like AI'd a band picture of a band called Cemetery Broads, and it's basically like 5 chicks gothed out, but AI created it. And then I was like, dude, that's rad. You should run that through like a song thing and create AI music out of it. He did, and the song that came out is nuts. It is like, it's crazy. It's so good. I hate to say that, but it's so good. You'd never know. Like you would never know. And it's just this hilarious, angsty punk rock female band voice and everything that we created in 5 minutes, and it just spit it out. And you're like, this is insane. Like this is insane. And that's just on
who owns the copyright to that?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it, Kev. That's what I'm saying. Is like it's just a thing a couple stupid dudes did on the weekend. I can't imagine what like the real people are doing with like the real machines,
hours, right?
Crazy shit and all the money behind it, what you can create and what they're doing with this stuff. Like it's so terrifying.
Well, right now, current law, copyright can only be assigned to human creators. So if a computer creates it, then no one owns the copyright. It's anybody.
So then what? How do you? So how does anybody get paid from it, or how does anything like?
Well, what people do is they go into these services. Like I could take three things off an AI site, right? A drum beat, keyboards, and a bass or a guitar, right? Just overlay them together, whether they sounded good or not. Upload it into DistroKid and say it's my original creation. Right. And then I go into Content ID. I go in there, and when I upload it, I backdate it and say that I created this in 1994. Right. And so I upload it, and then I go into Content Creator, Content ID that YouTube uses. Right. And I say that this is my song, and anybody who used it, used any of those 3 samples, I'm going to get their money.
So it's kind of like the copyright thing on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. Well, we got screwed by that. Remember, for years, we used that piece of music that we got for free because we paid whatever service we were using. And then all of a sudden, he put a claim on it, and I had to erase it off 92 videos.
So it's, I don't know.
Like Jason could go in and say that the lot, he could put that in content creator, and then we'd have to go and erase all those versions of.
AI is going to be a shitty, like, it's just such a, there's so many problems.
So many problems.
And there's no like easy answer ever.
Right. Well, they should have paid money for everything that they learned off of.
Yeah.
For one thing.
Well, yeah.
Maybe AI shouldn't exist. Maybe it's a bad idea.
Well, yes, but it's all about like that line, right? Of, okay, it can do some really wonderful things and help out in a lot of ways, but then the flip side is it not only can do a lot of bad things, but it can also just do shitty things.
They say like 45% of money invested in America right now is invested in things associated to AI. That bubble collapses, man, it is going to be ugly.
Yeah. And not just collapse, but consolidate, right?
Right.
Because eventually it's going to be like everything. And there's not going to be a need for like the smaller ones or like whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Billy Strings played in Europe. He busted out Old in the Ways Hobo song the last night in Ireland there. Which is interesting because, you know, he used to do Jerry tunes. And then there came a point where he no longer did them anymore because he was, you know, obviously you try to step out of the shadow of your heroes at some point, you know. So it's interesting when he does. He used to do fantastic versions of Birdsong. I mean, really. But I think he wrote his own songs over time that filled that function in the set. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't so much about the song, it was about the improvisational piece to it.
Right. Yes. I think it's cool he's doing a little Europe tour. I know our good friends and former roadie Benz was at the show the other night in England because she was over there for some work stuff. So she managed to get to go see Billy in Europe. That would be a cool bragging rights thing to have. Like, oh, I've seen him in Europe. I saw him in England. So that's really cool. Awesome. And I know he's gearing up for the big Halloween show. So across the pond for a few shows. So that's cool.
We're gearing up for the big November 1st thing with Mike Ayers at the 8x10 from 3 to 5.
That's right.
Free to everyone. Come hang out, please.
Come hang out. Come see Kev and do his interview with Mike Ayers. It'll be great. It'll be so fun. And I mean, what a better pregame to do before the show.
The market, the Cross Street Market's right across the way. You can go get some oysters and some beers or whatever. You know, come in, have a beer with us. So,
yeah.
All right. I'm going to run an intro this time since we have 2 things to talk about. All right.
The first thing you should bring is tickets.
Bring a tarp.
Bring a ground cover because it gets pretty wet.
Money, yeah, lots of money.
There's that black square you hate on the blue background at the end. Need to fix that one day. There's 2 festivals that we haven't been doing the festival things. After summer, we got a little burnt out. We've been doing the Monday, Fridays here with you guys on Volume. So
right now we're in a LOLA festivals anyway, and it's mostly now just announcements about next year's, and it feels it'd be fun to do announcements too. It feels so far away, like everything that's coming out. I keep telling you, I'm like, this one's not until like August of next year. How do we come in and be like, guys, check this out. It's October and this is for August. Like
we need to do the Mexico run. We need to work that together. Figure out what's the first Mexico festival of a jam band and run through those 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And that would take us through the end of the year probably.
Yeah.
With that, but the Clearwater Jazz Festival down in Clearwater, Florida is 4 days, and it is Tower of Power on Thursday night. They got Corey Wong, The War and the Treaty on Friday night. Saturday, Trombone Shorty, Lady Blackbird, and then on Sunday, Trampled by Turtles and St. Paul and the Broken Bones. Really nice curation lineups. I mean, if you're into the Tower of Power thing, you go that night. You don't really need to go to all of them, but the Corey Wong with The War and the Treaty, that's a good back-to-back. If you're into that, War and the Treaty really isn't my cup of tea, but a lot of people dig them.
Yeah, it's cool, like a little Clearwater jazz holiday, jazz festival, jazz event thing. I think it's pretty cool, like kind of down on the white sand beaches of Florida. Different experience, but in that that southern jazzy feel. Florida.
See, all the festivals are Florida because the other ones were in New Orleans, so we're all down below the 30 by 90 there.
Yep. And I mean, just like doing Halloween in the desert out here, October's not a bad month in the warm states for people to as fall and autumn and the cool.
Do we still get Santa Ana's in October?
Not quite. And this year's been cool. Like Santa Ana's usually kick in the next month or two, November, December. We can't get them in October, but it's a little early.
The winds from the desert. So the New Orleans Funk Fest is at Spanish Plaza the 17th through the 19th. We got 3 days, and it is a launch preview event for the Louisiana Music and Heritage Experience. That is a large museum project that they're building. I'm guessing it's probably connected to the festival somehow, since it is the Louisiana Music and Heritage Experience.
I would assume. Yep.
Lineup, we got Funky Meters 2.0, which is George Porter with Ivan Neville. Dumpster Funk doing a tribute to Sly. Master P, remember Master P?
Mm-hmm.
Soul Rebels. Tony Hall Band and Fred Wesley doing a James Brown tribute. Plus the Headhunters, John Cleary, George Porter, Big Sam, Suspects, Jen Hartswick. Jen Hartswick's everywhere, isn't she?
I was going to say that, but also about some of these other ones. Like, it's funny, the Funky Meters, but then you also have George Porter Jr. with the Running Partners, and then you also have Cyril Neville with 50 Years of the Wild. So there's so many bands, like we always talk about mingling.
Neville Brothers, because Dumpster Funk has Ivan in it, and and the other one.
If you look way down at the bottom, there's also the Neville Sons and Jamal Baptiste band. So there's a lot of it's some from high to low, good funk and good jamming in there.
Does any band represent a city more though than the Neville Brothers Meters combo represent New Orleans? I mean, even Louis Armstrong, we know is from New Orleans, but people don't necessarily associate him with New Orleans, because I don't think he lived there to much past 14 or 15. So
I feel like they're like the old generation of sort of that, whereas the new generation of New Orleans funk that you think of are like Galactic and Lettuce and those guys, and then the step before them is the Meters and stuff, sort of that royalty phase that's on its way, but the new generation is right and
then you get back to Art and Aaron had their solo, Mardi Gras Mambo in the 50s was Art Neville, and Tell It Like It Is with Aaron Neville in 63. I mean, they were just fantastic. And then they had all those kids. That is just the way to work it, man. That is the way to work it. All right, you got anything you want to throw out, or we're gonna wrap this up? We're gonna let's explain to everybody what's going on this week. You got to work tomorrow night. I'm gonna go see. Oh, we hit 150 members on Volume.
Hey, we hit 150. Thank you. Awesome. Amazing.
I'm going to go see Gorilla Toss. I hope. I'm gotta rent a car, but I think I'm gonna go see Gorilla Toss tomorrow and take Cerise with me. Take my kid, my young.
Do it. I'm so bummed I missed their show out here at the Lodge Room because I had training for the job that I'm working tonight, so I couldn't go that night. I was super bummed and pissed. But go. You need to go support them. See our boys and girl.
So
and
we're
go
gonna
watch
record. We're gonna record the What Club early. If we knew anybody would be here, I'd do it live here just for the members. But I don't know that anybody's going to be there. So we're
Right.
probably just going to record it and run it on volume for members only tomorrow night.
It's
And then we'll put
such
it
a
out later.
great show. Like, we could spend 2 hours talking about it too, especially with Makita, because it's such. It's. I wrote this in my notes, and we're going to talk about it obviously just later today, as it is. But I wrote in my notes that it's one of the greatest single nights of Fish in history. Like, of all of their stuff, this is.
Checks all the boxes.
It doesn't get enough love because it's kind of that weird 1.0. You overlook it because you're looking at Loaded and the actual Halloween shows, and this one always. And its biggest knock is nobody was there, right? Like nobody went. So like the only people there are like Utonians that were there, and they've kind of all faded away. Like nobody has legend stories about it, but it's like coming off the heels of what happened 2 nights previous to this, Trey telling the Harpua story. You only get to become a legendary band by playing legendary shows, and this is a legendary Fish show, even though it doesn't get, which is surprising to me, it doesn't get the love it deserves because it's got 2 phenomenal aspects to it. One, obviously covering one of the greatest albums of all time by one of the greatest bands of all times on a whim without telling anybody is nuts. But also the songs before they do that fucking rip. Like it is its own solid Fish show on top of what they do.
By the time they start Harpua for the costume part, they've already played that second set an hour. They usually would play another song or maybe 2, and that would have been the end of the set. So
if you had any complaint, the only one you could possibly come up with is that they didn't do any jamming inside of the Floyd stuff, which they absolutely, I mean, could have so much. Like Any Color You Like could have had.
Why does that not show up again sometime?
I know. I wrote that down too. I was like, this jam, I get not playing it from start to finish, like jamming, but like to just go into it at some point in a jam and be like, oh, let's dark side this a little bit. You know what I mean? We'll talk about this later. I hate to give it all away now, but like just listening to it, I was so just enthralled. Like, oh my God. It's also
maybe we will do it live later.
It's just so good.
We'll set it up for members only, do it live later, and then we can worry about getting it on YouTube in a few days.
Before we go, Kev, this leads me into a great just one thing I wanted to bring up was Blues Traveler played Sunday night in New York, and they debuted Althea by the Dead with guitarist Chan Kinchla on lead vocals. It's the first time he sang Althea with Blues Travelers, which was awesome. He played it before at the Desert 5 spot in LA earlier this year, but it's his first time playing it with Blues Traveler, which was amazing. I think that's so cool. They also played Rush's YYZ at the show too, which they played before. But I think that's kind of cool with the Rush announcement coming out that they did that. But anytime Blues Traveler's in the news for anything good, I love talking about them because they're right there with Dave, as we talked about, like just the early jam bands, Widespread, Blues Traveler, Dave. They're always that second tier to me, but I love them still. I love anything they come up with, and I love that they're still out there playing and everything.
Blues Traveler is a difficult monster.
Is a what?
Difficult monster. Popper's such a noodle head.
It's like what Mike said too, though, in that wasn't it Mike that we talked to about it, where he was like, the harmonica is a tough instrument to like, be that, get like use in every song and become that sort of, thing. So yeah, totally.
It is.
And the only other thing I wanted to bring up was the Eagles added 4 new shows to the Sphere, February 20th, 21st, 27th, and 28th. So
March and April are still open.
Like we've talked about, though, while bands do it, they just add to their shows, right? So like once you're there, it feels like it's
and
easy.
They probably have March open for them, and then they'll announce Fish doing the April shows.
Right. I was going to say, so this leads right to the end of February, and then we have No Doubt in May. So that March-April gap is still sitting there waiting.
And they're not going to have 2 more months of the Eagles. They'll have another month of the Eagles, a week off. Fish will do 2 weekends, a week off, No Doubt.
Yep.
It's all coming together, man. It's all coming together.
It's all setting it up perfectly for there. So yeah.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it.
That's it. That's what we got. So yeah, I think did we say just real quick too, Billy Strings teamed up with Third Man Records for a exclusive Vault vinyl release, which is kind of cool. Jack White and Billy Strings teaming up for a limited edition vinyl release, which is pretty
I feel
cool.
like Jack White gave Billy Strings a guitar at the Ryman earlier this year, maybe at the Ringo thing or something like that.
So
nice.
this will be it looks like it's the 66th installment of From the Vault series. It'll include a 20-track 4 LP live recording, Billy Strings live at Rosemont, as well as the first ever vinyl pressing of Strings' self-titled debut EP. The show was captured May 25th, 2024, the first night of a 2-night stand at Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. So yeah, very cool.
I'm liking it.
Third Man Records. I love to see that collaboration. Is kind of cool. I feel like those two guys are kind of kindred spirits in a way. So that's cool that they're doing that together.
I need to figure out how to get Billy to stop by the 8x10 before his
you
show.
do. I know. Be huge.
Come on up and play a song for us, Billy. Get him to do Streets of Baltimore. I know he knows Streets of Baltimore. That Graham Parsons covered it. Somebody else wrote it, but
it'd be great.
Make me a power Green Rocky Road. Make me a pallet on the floor when I get to Baltimore.
I love it.
Love it. All right, guys, we're gonna run the outro. If you're watching this later on the YouTube, leave a comment. But what you really should be doing is becoming a member over on Volume there. Moon Cabin will get you a free month. Do not have future regret. Go over and join now.
That's right.
And
know what everybody's talking about.
With that, we're out of here.
Have a good week.
What's up, dog?
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.